Hey friends, surprise, it's alive on a Tuesday night. Friday just always gets so crazy for me. I've been talking about changing it from Friday for a while. I don't know that it's going to be on Tuesday from now on, but since the videos are living on Facebook and also on YouTube, I don't suppose it really matters what night I do them. I just want to try to do them once a week. So here we are. Welcome everyone. I'm Debbie Hatch, CEO of Pinnacle Personnel Services, and tonight I decided that I wanted to talk about two things having to do with federal retirement, both very important and both very different. Eligibility versus computation. Eligibility means that the person is old enough and has worked long enough to be able to retire. Computation, we can think of as the retirement check or the pension amount. So eligibility, I can go. Computation, how much is my retirement going to be? When I teach federal employees how to determine how much time they have, I like to set up what I'll call simple. You don't have to agree with that statement, but I'm going to call it a simple subtraction problem. So you see an example right here in my slides. Here's a person who's decided that they're going to retire at the end of this year. So I write down their retirement date as a 4-digit year dash a 2-digit month dash a 2-digit day. And then from that retirement date, I'm going to subtract the individual's retirement service computation date. So this person started working in their first permanent position on May 14th of 1997. Now, before I can run the subtraction, let me tell you, this math problem right here is pretty simple because I can subtract 14 from 31, I can subtract 5 from 12, and I can subtract 1997 from 2021. But sometimes it's not going to be so simple. What if I had May 14th on the top and December 31st on the bottom? Then, before I can begin the subtraction problem, if the day on the top for that retirement date isn't 31, I add 1. If it isn't 31, I always add 1. Then if I can do the subtraction, great. If I can't, I could borrow a month, which would give me 30 days to work with, and I could borrow a year, which would always give me 12 months to work with. Now I do the subtraction, subtracting the days column, the months column, the years column. When I do that here, the individual has 24 years, 7 months, and 17 days civilian credit. Normally, their military time would already be included in that retirement service computation date. Don't add it in again. But for this example, I separated the military time from the civilian time to more easily show you what I was doing. So this individual also paid a military deposit for 4 years, 2 months, and 8 days. When I add their civilian and military time together, they've got a total of 28 years, 9 months, and 25 days. Now, when we're talking about eligibility, I'm going to take that amount of time and look at the various ways that I could retire to determine when I can go. There's several different ways that federal employees can retire. Okay, the first one is under something called a voluntary retirement, also known as just a regular retirement. If you have 30 years or more of creditable service, once we add together that civilian and military time, you've got 30 years or more, and you are your minimum retirement age, you can retire. If you have 20 years or more and you're 60 or older, you can retire. If you have at least 5 years of creditable civilian time and you're 62 or older, you can retire. Now, for the age, when we talk about minimum retirement age, it's based on the year that the person was born. For someone under CSRS, it's always 55. For someone under FERS, it runs from 55 to 57, depending on when you were born. But if you are your minimum retirement age, you've got 30 years, or 60 with 20, or 62 with 5, you're eligible to retire on a voluntary retirement. Additionally, sometimes people retire under something that's called MRA Plus 10. Here, the individual is their minimum retirement age based on that chart, 55 to 57, and they have at least 5 years as a federal civilian, at least 10 years overall combined civilian military time, they can retire. They are their MRA, 5 years as a civilian, 10 years overall, they can retire. This one has a potential financial penalty. We've talked about the postponed retirement before. I'm not going to get into that tonight. If your agency is offering early outs, or you lose your job through no fault of your own and qualify for something called a discontinued service retirement, then as long as you have 20 years and you're 50 or older, you can retire. If you have 25 years at any age, you can retire if you qualify for DSR or your agency offers you an early out. For a deferred retirement, there's no age required for you to leave. You have at least 5 years as a federal civilian, you resign. With at least 5 years in as a federal civilian, you're guaranteed a pension for the rest of your life. Now, when you can get it does depend on how much time you had prior to the resignation, and you have to wait until a certain age to collect. You had 5 years, you left with less than 10, you're going to have to wait until you're 62. You had at least 10 years in, you can collect at your minimum retirement age. If you do, you have a financial penalty. You have 20 years locked in, you left, you can collect at 60 without any kind of penalty. You had 30 years in, you can collect at your minimum retirement age without any penalty. If you are a special provision employee, federal law enforcement officer, firefighter, air traffic controller, Customs and Border Protection officer under the LEO provision, then if you left before you were 50, but you had 20 years locked in, you can collect your retirement once you hit MRA. It won't be calculated as a special provision retirement at that point. It will be a regular retirement, but you can begin collecting at your minimum retirement age. And when you add your time up, if you have at least 18 months, you are a FERS person. You have at least 5 years, you are a CSRS person, and you are unable to do the job that we hired you to do, and you can conclusively show that to the Office of Personnel Management, then you would be approved for a disability retirement. Again, what I want you to know is how to add up that time when we talk about how old you need to be and how much time you need to have. If you are special provisions, you can retire at 50 or older if you have 20 years of 6C locked in. You can retire at any age if you have 25 years of 6C locked in. So not just federal time, but special time, okay? So that's how old I need to be, how much of that time I need to have to retire. That's eligibility. Once I'm eligible and I retire, I made a decision that I'm going to retire. Now we can talk about the computation. For the computation, not only are we going to add in the civilian and military time, but also the sick leave, unless a person left on a deferred retirement. We don't use sick leave for that one, but for the others we do. So to figure out how much time to give you for your sick leave, since we're all earning it in hours, we earn 4 hours per pay period. We've got to convert that to years and months and days to add it in to that civilian and military total. Now we're going to do that by utilizing the Office of Personnel Management's 2,087 hour sick leave chart. It's one page. We're going to find the number in the body of this chart that is closest to, but also higher than, our sick leave balance. And once we find that number, we're going to draw a line to the top of the column. It will tell us how many months credit we have, and we're going to draw a line over to the first column where the days are listed. That will tell us how many extra days credit to add in. So here, We're always rounding up. That's important too. If I have 897 hours of sick leave on the books on the day that I retire, we round up to 899, draw that line to the top and over to the first column. It's going to convert to 5 months and 5 days extra credit in the computation of my pension. Okay, and I'll add that into our time in just 1 second. For some people, before we can use the chart, we're going to have one additional step. If you are a Title 32 employee and you are earning sick leave in days rather than hours, we're going to take the number of days you have, multiply that by 8 to convert it to hours. Now we use the chart. If you are a firefighter that works in the Department of Defense, because you don't work a normal 40-hour work week, we've got to convert your sick leave too before we can plug it into the chart. So here, we're going to take your sick leave balance, we're going to multiply it by 40, which is going to give us a number of hours, and we're going to divide that total by your last weekly tour of duty. Again, this is only if you're a firefighter in Department of Defense. So there's an example there right on the bottom of the slide. Once I, Title 32, multiply by 8 and get my number of hours. Once I, as a DoD firefighter, do my conversion and get my number of hours. For everybody else, we just take the hours you've got, then we plug those hours into this chart and we do our conversion. So going forward, with the eligibility slide that I showed you previously, the individual's civilian and military time made them eligible to retire, but now I'm doing the computation, so I add in their 897 hours of sick leave, which according to the chart converted to 5 months and 5 days. Adding that to their military and civilian total gives me 28 years, 14 months, and 30 days. When I get to the bottom, and this is important because a lot of people think that if they had 5 months and 5 days of sick leave, the days aren't going to count. They jump the gun just a little bit. Okay. When I get to the bottom, and only then do I start consolidating this time. A month is always considered to be 30 days. Don't try to figure that out. Don't think about it. Don't wonder where did it come from. It doesn't matter. The Office of Personnel Management says every month has 30 days, so just go with it. 30 days gives me a month. 12 months gives me a year. So I've got a final total here of 29 years and 3 months. That 5 days of sick leave, when it was added to the 8 days of military and 17 days of civilian time, rounded out a month. It does count. A lot of people think it doesn't. So I wanted to show you what happens if I'm one of those people. I got the 5 months, the 5 days of sick leave. I said, oh, that 5 days is not going to count. You know what? I'm calling in sick for 5 days. If I do that, they subtract 40 hours from my sick leave balance. So now I'm down to 857. When I plug 857 into that 2,087 hour sick leave chart, it converts to 4 months and 28 days. Adding the civilian, military deposited, and sick leave together, now I have 28 years, 13 months, and 53 days. 30 days gives me a month. 12 months give me a year. I have a final total of 29 years, 2 months, and 23 days. When I get to the bottom, though, any days less than 30 don't count. So you see I have a line through those 23 days, right? The person was concerned about losing 5 days, called in sick, and ended up losing 23 days as a net result. The reason is that 1 day on that sick leave chart does not equal 8 hours. In between the columns on that sick leave chart, it's not even a set amount. It's about 6 hours, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. So how do I handle this? When I'm getting ready to retire, if I have a lot of sick leave there, for example, 23 days, then maybe I'm going to go have a physical, I'm going to have my teeth cleaned, I'm going to have my eyes checked. I'm legitimately going to use up some of that time because I don't want to lose 23 days. My advice to federal employees is when you get down to single digit days, 9 or less, take a deep breath, let all of that little stuff go. It doesn't matter. You can't take advantage of everything. And when you try to zero it out, you can hurt yourself more significantly on the other end. If you want to hear more about sick leave, I did a separate video on that. You can search my YouTube channel. You can search on Facebook in the video section and pull that up specifically to look at it. Let me know, please, if you have any questions about this topic or other things having to do with Social Security, Medicare, your federal retirement, your federal insurances. I'm always happy to shoot a quick video and address the subject for you. Please let me know. You can drop a comment here. You can send me an email as well. I'm going to hop off. Take care of yourself. Again, let me know how I can help you.